Every organization encounters problems, processes fail, defects escape, customers complain, auditors find gaps. None of this is unusual. What is unusual is how organizations respond once those problems are exposed. In many companies, the immediate focus is on restoring operations as quickly as possible. A defect is repaired, a shipment is reworked, a complaint is answered, and the paperwork is completed. For a short time, everything appears stable again, until the same issue returns, often in a slightly different form. This cycle of reaction without learning is exactly what Corrective and Preventive Action, or CAPA, is designed to break. CAPA is the mechanism that turns problems into permanent improvement. It ensures that once an issue is identified, the organization doesn't just move on. It learns, adapts, and changes. In this chapter, we'll explore CAPA not as an administrative requirement, but as a disciplined way of thinking that truly closes the loop in total quality management. CAPA is one of the most frequently used and most frequently misunderstood elements of a quality system. Many people associate CAPA with a form, a database entry, or an auditor request. Others see it as a corrective action report that must be completed whenever something goes wrong. But CAPA is not a document. It is a process of cause elimination. Corrective action focuses on addressing the root cause of a problem that has already occurred. Preventive action focuses on addressing the cause of a problem that has not yet occurred, but reasonably could. In both cases, the emphasis is on cause, not correction. Replacing a defective part restores conformity, but it does not prevent recurrence. Adding inspection may catch future defects, but it does not eliminate the condition that created them. Retraining someone without changing the process often produces temporary improvement at best. True CAPA always results in a change to the system, whether that system involves procedures, equipment, training, interfaces, suppliers, or controls. Within total quality management, CAPA exists to strengthen processes, not to assign fault. When CAPA is done properly, problems become evidence, not embarrassment. One of the fastest ways to weaken a CAPA system is to apply it indiscriminately. If every minor issue becomes a CAPA, the system becomes overwhelmed, timelines slip, and meaningful analysis disappears. At the same time, failing to initiate CAPA for serious or recurring issues guarantees that those issues will return. A mature organization understands that CAPA is intended for systemic, significant, or risk-based problems. CAPA is appropriate when an issue indicates a breakdown in the system rather than an isolated error. This includes situations where customers are impacted, regulatory or safety concerns exist, audit nonconformances are identified, or data shows a recurring trend rather than a single event. The guiding principle is simple. If the issue could reasonably happen again under the same conditions, then corrective or preventive action is required. Minor, one-time issues may only need correction. Patterns, trends, or high-risk failures demand CAPA. This distinction is critical to keeping the CAPA system effective rather than bureaucratic. Corrective action always begins after a problem has already occurred, but it must never end with simply fixing what is broken. The first step in corrective action is clearly defining the problem. This requires discipline and objectivity. A well-defined problem describes what happened, where it occurred, when it was detected, and what the impact was, without speculation or blame. Poor problem definition almost guarantees poor solutions. Once the problem is understood, containment becomes the immediate priority. Containment actions protect the customer and the organization while investigation is underway. This may involve isolating product, adding temporary inspection, halting shipments, or implementing short-term controls. Containment is essential, but it is only a temporary safeguard. It does not address why the problem occurred in the first place. That responsibility lies with root cause analysis, the most critical and most frequently weakened part of CAPA. Effective root cause analysis looks past symptoms and asks why the system allowed the problem to exist. It examines process design, interfaces, assumptions, controls, and decision-making. Tools such as the 5 whys, cause and effect diagrams, process mapping, and data analysis are valuable, but only when used honestly and thoroughly. If the identified cause does not explain how the problem could occur again under the same conditions, it is not a true root cause. Corrective action is complete only when the underlying cause has been eliminated or controlled. Preventive action represents the most mature stage of a CAPA system and often the least developed. While corrective action responds to failure, preventive action responds to risk. Preventive action is driven by foresight rather than hindsight. It is initiated when analysis, experience, or data suggests that a problem could occur if conditions remain unchanged. Sources for preventive action include risk assessments, near misses, trend analysis, design and process reviews, change management activities, and lessons learned from a previous CAPA. Preventive action asks a different question: what vulnerabilities exist in this process, and what would allow them to turn into failures? Tools such as risk-based thinking, failure mode, and effects analysis, and structured process audits help identify weak points before they are exposed by defects or complaints. Organizations that invest seriously in preventive action experience fewer surprises, lower costs of poor quality, and greater operational stability. Over time, preventive action shifts quality from a reactive function to a strategic one. Identifying root causes and risks has little value if the resulting actions are weak or poorly implemented. Effective CAPA actions must be concrete and transformational. They must change how work is performed, controlled, or verified, not simply restate expectations. Strong actions often involve revising procedures, improving training methods, redesigning tooling or fixtures, introducing error proofing, strengthening supplier controls, or updating control plans and performance metrics. Equally important is accountability. Actions must be clearly assigned, adequately resourced, and implemented within realistic timelines. When actions are vague, optional, or unsupported, corrective and preventive actions quietly fail. A simple test applies. If the action were removed tomorrow, would the problem be able to return? If the answer is yes, the action is not strong enough. This is the stage where many CAPA systems lose credibility. Verification confirms that planned actions were implemented. Effectiveness confirms that those actions actually worked. Completing an action is not the same as solving a problem. Effectiveness must be demonstrated through objective evidence over time. This may include stable process performance, reduced defect trends, improved audit results, or lowered risk ratings. The absence of recurrence is the ultimate measure of success. If a problem reappears after CAPA closure, the loop was never truly closed, regardless of how thorough the documentation appeared. In a TQM environment, data, not optimism, determines closure. At its highest level of maturity, CAPA becomes more than a response mechanism, it becomes a learning system. Insights gained through CAPA feed directly into training programs, design decisions, supplier management, risk assessments, and management review. Trends across CAPAs reveal systemic weaknesses and improvement opportunities that are invisible at the individual issue level. By capturing and sharing lessons learned, organizations prevent the same mistakes from being repeated as people, products, and processes change. CAPA becomes the organization's memory, ensuring that learning is retained, not lost. Corrective and preventive action is not about fixing yesterday's problems. It is about ensuring that the same problems never define tomorrow. When CAPA is disciplined, thoughtful, and fully closed, quality systems become resilient rather than reactive. Problems become drivers of improvement rather than sources of frustration. And in total quality management, closing the loop is not optional. It is the foundation of lasting excellence. Thank you for joining me in Chapter 57. Check out our other training videos in this series where we continue to delve deeper into the 6 pillars of total quality management, as well as tools, benefits, and how to implement TQM in your organization. Thank you for joining, and don't forget to subscribe for new videos from All Things Quality.